You're listening to the Inside Podcast Network. Podcasts for the enterprise.
Welcome to this ad hoc edition of the Inside the Microsoft Cloud podcast. I'm here today with the scripting guy, Ed Wilson. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing great, Pete.
Hey, it seems odd calling you the scripting guy. You have this small army of fellow scripters behind you. Tell us how that came about.
Well, it actually came about a couple of years ago, and I think it was probably maybe around Windows 8 timeframe, something like that. I started looking at the number of PowerShell commandlets and stuff that we had. I mean, with like Windows 8, we shipped like 12, 13, 1,800 commandlets. And I started thinking, dude, if I write about one commandlet every single day, it's going to take me 3 years. And by that time, we'd probably be up to PowerShell 10 or something. Yeah, so it'd be like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to start running the blog every single day, 7 days a week. And dude, man, I need to have some time off every once in a while. So I thought, I'll get some people from the community, give them an opportunity to write. And so I kind of tried this as an experiment, and it worked really well. I was at the Techstravaganza in Atlanta, and I walked in, and I actually had several people come up and say, man, we love the fact that you're opening up your blog to other people. It gives a different perspective. And so by doing that, then I've been able to bring in experts. True experts, Todd Clint, who was here just a few minutes ago. He's a SharePoint expert. Sean Kearney, who's here right now over there, kind of covering the booth while I'm talking with you. He's a PowerShell MVP. He's an honorary scripting guy. He's written a lot of articles. I've had June Blender, who knows help and all this stuff. And so just different people, different technologies, because I don't know everything. And I don't pretend to know everything. But but PowerShell is in everything.
Breaking news: Ed Wilson does not know everything about PowerShell. So Ed, we've seen some really exciting announcements in Build last week around Azure Infrastructure as a Service, carrying over into the Azure Stack announcement today. So let's get into the world of PowerShell here. With all of the announcements swirling around, what are the most impactful announcements you've heard that affect your world here in PowerShell?
It's really easy. 3 letters: DSC. Desired state configuration. I'm kind of smiling a little bit. We introduced it in PowerShell 4. People took it, they started running with it, they started using it, and we've improved it, with PowerShell 5 on Windows 10. It's no secret. It's going to really change the way that it works. I was talking with a guy actually here a little bit earlier today. I said, in some respects, DSC, it followed right after PowerShell Workflow in PowerShell 3. And, a lot of what, I could do in Workflow, I could do in DSC too, of course. But the thing is that with DSC, it just makes it so much easier. It really is, helping us to make things, have a short command that's very powerful. So we have a file archive, resource provider. Dude, I've written scripts, that do that.
Sure.
But the scripts are this long. But with using a DSC resource, it's one line. So that's really revolutionary.
So that's this long in Times Roman 10, right? So
yep, absolutely.
Many lines. So within DSC, we've seen that evolve. So I and some colleagues in the community got involved with DSC early on, and we wrote 100 days of DevOps with PowerShell, and we worked a lot with DSC.
Sure.
And I remember we started maybe in whatever wave came in December, maybe 4 or 5, and then we ended around 9. We're on wave 10 now. Have we seen 11 yet? I think we're at 10. I think we're at 10-ish still.
I have no idea. I think that we maybe released something. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
It's so often. So
Yeah.
every couple of months we have this. And do you see a point where this pace slows, or are we going to see for quite some time
No.
that level of innovation?
It's going to be
continuing?
faster, and the reason is because of one of the new exciting features in Windows 10 with PowerShell 5. It's the PowerShell Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically that's like GitHub, except with PowerShell connected to it and working with it and stuff. So we talked about this at the PowerShell Summit 2 weeks ago in Charlotte, and the neat thing is that with this, you now have a community of people who are writing this. So the resources from are not just only coming from the PowerShell team. So Redmond is not the gatekeeper on this anymore. We're opening it up to people within the PowerShell community. So Steve Murawski, who was here earlier, is and if you did 100 days of DSC, you can't do 100 days of DSC without talking to Steve Murawski.
We know who Steve is. Very,
So
very
of course
well.
you do. Yeah. So everybody does. I mean, he is the Steve Murawski. Yeah, and he's the DSC guy. Yeah, and so he is been working with the PowerShell team. With open sourcing this, if you will. So the pace is going to quicken, because we no longer have just a team at Microsoft developing these resources. We have trusted people within the community. So pretty soon, there was a book written, It Takes a Community. Well, with PowerShell DSC resource, dude, that's what you got. It takes a community of coders, developers, people who are passionate about this technology, and it's everywhere.
So and really DSC is all about management, right? So
Absolutely.
So if we think about, let's look at the System Center formula, where when you release a server product, you
Yeah.
release a management pack for System
Sure.
Center
Yep.
Operations Manager. So
Yep.
do you envision a time where we see the product teams, as they release a product, releasing DSC resources to help with deployment and configuration management?
I could see it. I think you could see it. I mean, I'm absolutely, positively, I'm in no position to know, one way or the other. But
hint, hint, Redmond.
yeah, hint, hint. But yeah, I mean, certainly it makes sense. I mean, and I can also see, a time, in which, whereas, right now, you run setup.exe to deploy your server or something. I can easily see it's a time, where, when your software that you're going to deploy, dude, I mean, it's a PowerShell script using DSC. I mean, it makes sense. The technology's there. It's built in. So, but I'd like to take a step back, though. You said DSC is just for management. It's not. It's for configuration. What is just part of management. But it's also for, checking with configuration drift. The old expression, somebody went in here and messed up the server. Well, nowadays you don't have to even troubleshoot, what messed it up. You just reapply the configuration, and that happens automatically under the covers. Or somebody calls you up at 3 a.m. It's like, dude, the server's down. You just go back in, refresh configures, boom, it's done. It's what's that word? Independent, I think is the word we got.
Jeffrey Snover pulls that one out he dusts that off every now and again. Well, so on the management side, we call that configuration management, or in the System Center world, desired configuration. Desired
of course,
configuration. Yes. Do you see the System Center iteration of that perhaps backing off, or PowerShell integrating with that, or?
Well, again, I'm not in a position to know, but it makes sense to me that since this technology, this is like built into Windows. That it makes sense to me that a product that was doing this, would leverage your native infrastructure. What we're going to have, what I would see is a value add. Where they come in, they just simplify stuff. Because, but I don't know. I mean,
that's the exact conclusion we came to over a dinner discussion. That it would seem our management interfaces should leverage the underlying. Really, DSC is an engine of sorts, right?
Well, we see stuff like this already. I mean, so Exchange management. Dude, what's it do? You click, but it calls PowerShell underneath the covers. So it just makes sense. That we are integrated one Microsoft. So we're going to use the tools that we have. This way I see it.
Yeah. One world, one Microsoft. under PowerShell DSC. I like it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Ed, we sure appreciate your time this week.
Hey, Pete, good to talk to you, man.
Here.